Before I start, I just want to wish everybody, it's Tuesday, the week before Rosh Hashanah, so I want to wish everyone, I shouldn't forget later on, a ksiva and a chsima teva, a good Taanis Shiur for you and the families and all your relatives. We should have a year of nachas and health. The Mishnah we're dealing with basically Gemara of Agadata, and I'll just make a few observations over here. The Mishnah over here on Daf Hey, Ad Mosai Sholim Esak Shomim, until when do we ask for rain? Rabbi Yehuda Imer Ad Sheyavra Pesach. Rabbi Yehuda says until Pesach passes. That means we ask for rain the whole time. Sholim Esak Shomim. Our minikis, we stop already from the first day of Pesach. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Ad Sheyavra Pesach. Rabbi Meir Omer Ad Sheyetze Nisan, the whole month of Nisan. Shenamar v'yerid lachem geshem mora u'malkish barishon. Okay, so now this Gemara, the Gemara talks about this. Omalei Rav Nachman Rabbi Yitzchak Yara ben Nisan. Yara is the first rain. Yara is in Nisan. Yara ben Marcheshon. Yara, the first rain is in Marcheshon, right after Sukkot, not in Nisan, not in the end of the winter. And the Gemara, he brings up Brisa. Yara b'Marcheshon or Malkish b'Nisan. Malkish is already the end of the rain, and at the end of the rain is a Nisan. This pasuk was Niskayim in the times of Yoyo ben Pesuel. The locust ate all the food. There wasn't anything left. Osa Shana Yotza Adar v'lo Yogishomim. Adar passed and there wasn't rain. Yordel Hem Revi Rishayna B'Echad B'Nisan. The first rain came in the beginning of the month of Nisan. Amalehem Navi Yisrael Tzur Uzu. The Navi said to Yisrael, Tzur Uzu, go and plant. Amala, they said to him, Misheyesh Lo Kav Chitim. O Kav Misarim, if you have a little bit of grains of wheat or some grains of barley, Yochlena v'yicheh, should we eat it and live? Or Yizrena v'yama, so maybe we should plant it and die. How can we manage? Amar lehem afal pekin suazu, afal pekin, go and plant. Nasa lehem neis, happened a miracle. V'niskala lehem masha b'ksolim, or masha b'chari nemoli. And the grains were found in anthills, and in ksolim, and in the walls of buildings, and this was all done by the ants. Yatzu v'zoro, and they went and planted. Sheni v'shlishi, they planted on the first day, and the second day of Nisan, the third day of Nisan, the fourth day of Nisan. V'yordel revi shni, and the rain came again. B'chamisha b'Nisan, hekrivu omer b'shisha osa b'Nisan. They were makriv the omer already on the 16th day of Nisan. That means after Yontav of Pesach. Nim says tavua hagdela b'shisha chadoshim. Tavua, which ordinarily took 6 months, gedela be'echad asayom, grew in 11 days. Nimsa omer hakor mitvua shoshisha chadoshim. So the omer came from tvua, which usually takes 6 months, curve betvua shoachad asayom, which came about in 11 days. Also hador, and on that door who omer hazorim bedima. Those people who planted, they were crying. Hazorim bedima, they were crying. This is Daf Hey Amud Aleph. They were crying. Hazorim bedima, because they didn't have what to eat. Berina yiksor. When they will harvest berina. They'll harvest in song. Holach yelech uvocha nosei meshach hazara. Okay. My holach yelech uvocha nosei meshach hazara. What's that going on? Rabbi Yehuda shor kishu choresh holech uvocha. To show when he's pulling the plow, he's crying because he doesn't have what to eat. But when he's coming back from one row to another row, suddenly the plants began to grow instantaneously almost. He begins to eat the first growing, the first showing of the green. My nose elumosa, Rab Chesda, Amalei b'masnisim tona, kona zera shibola zeisim. Even the things that grew in plentiful amount. Now Rashi says a very interesting thing. Rashi says that Yotza V'Zoro, Rashi says, Yotza V'Zoro Masha B'Yoda. They were Zoreya, they planted what they had in their hands. It means they had a little bit grain stored up, whether it was chitim, wheat, or it was a little bit of barley. They planted that which they were holding in reserve to eat. That's what they used to plant. That's what Rashi says. Now, the Gemara tells us that the Navi told them, listen, don't worry, the Beit Hashem will provide for you. And the end of the day is that they found added wheat and added barley. They found it in the anthills. They suddenly discovered treasures and food where the ants always come and pick up the food, and they stored it away. So they found these storehouses in the anthills. It doesn't say they planted what was in the anthills. It says they planted what was in their hand. If you have a Gemara, a large Gemara in Rabbeinu Chanano says, Rabbeinu Chanano says over here, I'm looking over here, Hazorim B'dim Abrina Yiksara, on this Gemara, it says over here, Nasa lehem neis, v'niskalo lehem chitim sha'ogrim ha'nemolim. They found what the ants put in their anthills. B'chorim v'ksolim v'lochu osam v'zorim. And the Rabbeinu Chanana says differently. Rabbeinu Chanana says that grain they took and that grain they planted. Okay, but Rashi doesn't know that way. Rashi says they planted they planted what they had in their hands. So the Maisa, I had a ha'ara over here. I found in one of the Svar Makdashim, why did it go in that order? That they planted what they had in their hands and only then they ate. So the Ein Yaakov brings a halacha. And this is anyone associated with the Gemara and Chulin. The Gemara and Chulin says, if you find grains in anthills, you always have to suspect that maybe it's from the leket, chich, and peah. It's from those grains which the balabayas is mechuyev to leave over for the oni. And you're not allowed to take them. If you have any type of a suffix of those grains, you're not allowed to take those grains. Why aren't you allowed to take? Because they belong to the poor man. These grains fell in the time of when the person who was gathering in the grains somehow was gathering in, and parts of it fell, and the ants picked them up, and the ants brought them to the Watson, brought them and stored them away in their anthills. So the halach is, if you have any doubt, any suffix, you're not allowed to use those grains because maybe it belongs to the aniyim, and you're not allowed to take it. So the Ein Yaakov says a meritic kavod. So what did the Navi tell them? The Navi said, take what's in your hands and use it and plant. So they didn't have any other grains. They didn't have other grains, so they have a din of an oni themselves. They became poor themselves. About to have a din of an oni, they weren't in any way neutralized or told that they couldn't use this. So that was what the Navi says. But that's only according to Rashi. The Rabbeinu Chanana says not like that. But I was thinking a very interesting point, and I still don't have a good maskon on it, but I'm going to tell you what I was thinking. I was thinking to myself, the Navi came and told them they were basically dying of hunger. They only had some grains left in their hands, and they told the Navi, what are you telling us to do? You're telling us to take the grains that we have in our hand and plant them. If we plant them, so maybe it will grow, maybe it won't grow. But we're dying in the meantime. That's what they're telling. So I was thinking to myself, the halachi is, if a Navi tells you to be machalo Shabbos, and Navi doesn't tell you disregard Shabbos. If he tells you to disregard Shabbos, you have to kill him because he's a Navi Sheker. But if the Navi says to you, this time you're allowed to disregard Shabbos because the enemy is coming, you have to fight, whatever it is, you Elov Tishmon, you must listen to the Navi. You must listen to the Navi. And that was the din of Eliyahu Bahara Carmel. Eliyahu came and he was mocking for Korban outside the Beis HaMikdash, which he wasn't allowed to do. But that's, if a Navi comes and he says that he got a horayah from the Ben Hashem to do, one must listen to him for that period of time. That's the halacha. What happens if a Navi tells you something in Pikuach Nefesh? I was thinking about this. And Navi tells you in a situation where it's mamish a situation of pikuach nefesh. So Navi tells you, take the grains, and you need them to eat. It's a natural pikuach nefesh. It's not something that could happen, would happen. They told him, either we eat the grains and we live. How long they'll live, it's a different story. Either we eat it, or we'll plant them and die. This was a pikuach nefesh problem. So it was a pikuach nefesh problem. So the Navi told him so. He said, Navi, okay, we're listening to you, but we cannot take these grains and plant them. What happened? The Navi, they found the grains in the other thing. They found the grains of the... so Rabbeinu Hanan is coming to tell you, the grains that they had in their hands, they ate. But the Navi said, don't worry, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will take care of it. So what happened? Rebbeinu Shem gave them what's his name, a nace, and they discovered new grains, the new grains they planted. The grains that they had in their hand, even though the Navi told them initially, go plant it, we're not mechuyev to go. It's pikuach nefesh. Pikuach nefesh is doicha kol HaTorah kula. Pikuach nefesh is doicha even listening to a Navi. The Navi tells you, go eat the grains and you go plant the grains and you won't have food to put on the table and you'll die from hunger. That was the situation they told them. You're not mechuyev. So the Navi had to show them that you'll have another source when they found the other source. But Rashi doesn't learn the way. Kinir Rashi holds that the Navi, if the Navi tells you, even in a situation of pikuach nefesh, you're mechuyev to listen to the Navi. After they had amunah, they believed in the Navi. That was part of the nace. If they had amunah on Hashem and you believed and you're willing to sacrifice al pi Navi and you believed in the Navi, the Kodesh Baruch Hu will show you a nace and you'll find new sources. And so they first had to plant it, and then came the miracle, and they discovered new grains, and those new grains were what's his name. So the two miracles happened. First of all, they planted, and it grew quickly. And the other nace was the fact that they discovered. So maybe we have a machlekes over here, and I'm not quite sure. If anyone wants to work on it, I remember when I was a young boy and I learned this Gemara, I had this question over here, and I was thinking to myself, this might be a machlekes in a situation when there is a direct, not indirect, but a direct contradiction to pikuach nefesh. If one is mechuyev to listen to another, the same way pikuach nefesh tells us we can disregard a Shabbos in a situation of pikuach nefesh. We can disregard all mitzvahs except the three vital mitzvahs of avodah zarah, kidei arais, and shvichas damim. But in all other mitzvahs, pikuach nefesh takes precedence, whether it's a hutra or the chuya. That's the halacha, Yom Kippur. People who are not feeling 100%, they should consult a doctor. If the doctor tells them to eat on Yom Kippur, they are mechuyev to eat on Yom Kippur. You know the famous story where Chaim Brisker, well, for anybody who was sick, I can mention the halacha, and it's an important halacha. If a person was sick with a heart condition, a serious heart condition, or any other condition, Reb Chaim held that a person should eat in a normal way, not eat shiurim. So they asked him, but Rebbe, it says you should eat shiurim. You should gauge as much as you can. You eat a little bit less than the shear, and then you eat a little bit, but to eat a complete shear. So Chaim says, no, that's not the pshat. It means if somebody by not eating will come into a situation of pikuach nefesh, then the halacha is you eat little bit. But if somebody who's already in a matzav of pikuach nefesh, he's after an operation, he has a heart condition, but he's already in a matzav, on that there's no halacha shir, on that the halacha pikuach nefesh is doicha, and you eat in a regular thing. So they said, Rebbe, you're being meko in Yom Kippur. So Reb Chaim used to say, I'm not being meko in Yom Kippur, I'm being machmir pikuach nefesh. So in the situation over here where even the Navi came, and the Navi told him that, listen, you must, what's his name? But he can't be better than the Torah itself. The Torah itself says that pikuach nefesh is doicha. Oh, mitzvahs is nitchem ibnei pikuach nefesh. So this too is also nitchem pikuach nefesh. So according to the Rabbeinu Hanan, no, that wasn't the situation. The situation was that they first, when the Navi came and told them the situation, go plant, they said, Navi, we can't listen to you because it's a situation of pikuach nefesh. But the Navi says, what happened? The Navi promised them, and they found other alternative sources. When the alternative sources were found, they used the alternative sources. And according to Rashi, that was part of the a part of the Amunah that they had to have in the Divrei Hanavi in order that what? In order that the Rebbeinu Shem should give them that miracle, that mamish miracle to save them. Okay, but this is an interesting situation. I'm going ahead because we don't have time, but if you think about it, please let me know. The Gemara continues on. I'm skipping a little bit over here because I want to come to a very important point. The Gemara describes how fierce the famine was, how fierce they even ended up eating even other human beings, how fierce the famine was until the Navi saved them. Omelei Rav Nachman, Rabbi Yitzchak, Maida si bekibucha kodesh v'lo ovo be'ir. Mishum de bekibucha kodesh because you're close to kedusha. Inside you have kedusha. Lo ovo be'ir. I'm not going to come into the city. Omelei Yocham Rabbi Yechon, Omar Kodesh Baruch Hu, lo ovo b'Yushalayim shamala. I'm not going to come to the Yerushalayim Shamala until I come to the Yerushalayim Shamala. Umika Yerushalayim Damala, is there Yerushalayim upstairs? You know, I think there's a book written Yerushalayim Shamala about the Anshe Yerushalayim in the previous generations, how they were, Gehaben mentioned they were special people, he called them Yerushalayim Shamala. Ein, the Siv Yerushalayim Habanuya Ki Ir Shechubru Lo Yachtav. Okay, so let's see Rashi on this. Lo over b'Yushalayim, v'ochi komer, shehei b'kirbecha kodesh lamata, the hani Yushalayim, when there's a kirbecha kodesh lamata, the hani Yushalayim lo over b'ir shalamala. Until there's b'kirbecha kodesh, until there's b'kirbecha kodesh, you are in Yerushalayim, the Rebbeinu Shem says, I'm not going to go into the Yerushalayim Shamala. Yerushalayim habenuya kir shechuba l'yachtav, Yerushalayim shalamata, zok Rashi te benuya Ki'ir shechubra lo. The connection of Yerushalayim, the city of Yerushalayim, with the Yerushalayim upstairs in Shamayim, shehi kiyetze bo chaverta v'dugmosa michlal diku Yerushalayim achrita. There is another Yerushalayim. Where there's other Yerushalayim in Shamayim, v'hechen im lo lamal. Where's this other Yerushalayim? I believe there's a Jerusalem in Pennsylvania. There are some cities that are named Jerusalem. But he's not referring, there's another Yerushalayim, and that Yerushalayim is where that other Yerushalayim is upstairs. This is a great halachic, it's a beautiful Agadata. Beautiful Agadata. And I heard an interesting word on this Agadata. You know, in benching, we say Bone, it says over here, Buchato Hashem Bone Barachamov Yerushalayim Amen. According to the, what's his name? According to the Goin's Girsa, we should not say Barachmo. We should say Baruch Ato Hashem Bonei Yerushalayim Amen. Why should we say Bonei Barachmo? Kodesh Baruch Hu builds Yerushalayim. So the Goin said, you know why? Because it says Tzion b'mishpat tipoda. Tzion will be saved, or will be, what's the correct word to tipoda? Will be liberated with mishpat. Will be liberated with mishpat. So if it's liberated with mishpat, that's a din. That's not rachamim. That means the only way Yerushalayim will be returned to its glory is by mishpat, by judgment, by pure judgment, not by what's his name, not by rachamim. So they leave out that word bonei Yerushalayim because it says bonei. It says over here bonei. It's not true. Siyam b'mishpat tipoda. On the other hand, look how we have a problem over here. It says Yerushalayim ircha b'rachmim tasha. We daven it 3 days. Well, I don't know how many times sometimes people only bench on Shabbos, and during the week they don't eat bread. But davening, we daven 3 days. I know 3 times a day. Morning, afternoon, evening. And we say, Yerushalayim ircha b'rachmim tasha. Why doesn't the Goin take out that barachmim? Yerushalayim tasha v'sishkam b'sol. What's going on over here? Why over here the Goin didn't take out the word barachmim? There he took out the word barachamim, and those people who followed the Nusach HaGoin, Bonei Yerushalayim Irakedesh, whatever it is, they say over here, Bonei Yerushalayim Irakedesh, it says, Bonei Yerushalayim Omen. Here they did. So I saw an answer by several Goinim that we're dealing in 2 different levels. In Shmoneh Esrei it says, Vil Yerushalayim Ircha. It should be Yerushalayim Ireinu, our city. Yushalayim Ireinu Barachamim Toshim. It says Yushalayim Ircha Barachamim Toshim. And here it says, in the benching, it doesn't say Yushalayim Ircha. It's just Avnei Yushalayim, build Yushalayim, Yer HaKodesh, okay? The city of Kedusha, B'mheirav Yameinu. It doesn't say Ircha. Why here it says Ircha, and here it says, when the Teretz is, one, in the Tefillah, it's referring to Yushalayim Shomayla. It's referring to the Yushalayim upstairs. And we're saying, return to the Yushalayim upstairs. If you return to the Yushalayim upstairs, then we know that we'll have the Yushalayim downstairs. Because the Rebbeinu Shalom promised us that he will not return to the Yushalayim upstairs. And that's the Yushalayim Yercha, Barachamim Toshim. So that's Barachamim. If you'll return to the Yushalayim B'Sishkom B'Socha, and you should be Socha B'Socha, in the Yushalayim in the Beis HaMikdash, L'mala. Here we're referring to the Yerushalayim downstairs in Birchas HaMazon. We're thanking God for all the wonderful things He did for us. But that has to be Tzion B'Mishpat Tiboda. So the Yerushalayim Shamata has to be done with Tiboda. But the Yerushalayim Shamala, the Rebbeinu Shalom, and some Meforshim say, sometimes when Klal Yisrael is not doing what they should doing, so then the Rebbeinu Shalom builds the Yerushalayim Shamala, and from then he encourages, or he makes what's his name, he pushes us to build the Yerushalayim Shamata. But they make that difference. But I want to say there's a very important halacha concept over here. The Rambam says that if a person goes up Bisman Hazeh to Har HaBayis, and many people go up to Har HaBayis. Okay, some people say there are places one can go, one cannot go. We have halacha that Kedusha Rishona Kitcha L'Shaita, the Kitcha, there's a machlekes in the Gemara, Kitcha L'Shaita, the Kitcha L'Salovo, when Eretz Yisrael was Niskadish. Was it Niskadish completely all the time? Or was it only Niskadish for a period of time, and then the Kedusha became Bata? So we have halacha that Kedusha Rishona Kitcha L'Shaita, the Kedusha Rishona was Kitcha L'Shaita when Yeshua came in and captured Eretz Yisrael. The Kedusha remained till Nebuchadnezzar came and destroyed Eretz Yisrael through Amah. The Kedusha Shneir, when they came, Ezra came again and was Makadosh Yisrael. So that Kedusha, many poskim paskin, that Kedusha remains. And that Kedusha we have Bisman said, not for everything, but for many halachas. But the Rambam says that's only referring to Eretz Yisrael. The Kedusha of the Beis HaMikdash, that Kedusha always remains. Why does that Kedusha always remain? After all, the first Kedusha was Batel. And the Rambam says, why was the Kedusha Batel? Because the Kedusha depended upon Klal Yisrael capturing or having Eretz Yisrael. When the Yidden lost Eretz Yisrael, so the Kedusha evaporated. It's like Moshe Rabbeinu came down and saw the Klal Yisrael were dinning Avodah Zarah. So he says they don't need the luchas. In fact, giving him the luchas is not a benefit for them. It's a chol for them. So he broke the luchas. If they're not being shamed with the mitzvahs, so what's the point of giving him the luchas? So the same thing, the Kedusha was for Yidden. The Kedusha is Tumas and Maisras, and all the dinim, Kedusha Eretz Yisrael, all these dinim, they're for Yidden. If the Yidden are not in Eretz Yisrael, what's the point of the Kedusha? The Kedusha is for the Yidden. If the Yidden are not there, the Botla Kedusha, the Kedusha became Botla. They came back a second time, so the Kedusha was reestablished. But the Rambam says the Kedusha of Yerushalayim is Mishum HaShechina. The Kedusha of Yerushalayim, once they made the Beis HaMikdash, so then the Shechina came down, and the Shechina rested in the Beis HaMikdash, and once the Kedusha, and the Shechina Eina Betela, the Shechina never becomes bottle. You can never cause the Shechina to be bottle. Kedusha can become bottle, but the Shechina is never bottle. So there's always Shechina on the Har HaBayis. Where exactly? That you have to ask. There are people who say you can go into certain places here, but the Rambam says if somebody Bisman Hazeh goes into certain places, let's say certain places, the Har HaBayis, Kodesh Kadoshim, Azor, whatever it is, and he's Tomim. Now we all have a din of Tomim Meis. He has Chayv course because the Shechina is there. Okay, where should the Shechina be? So the Shechina always remains. Okay, why? What's the connection? Why is it because of the Shechina? Because the Rebbeinu Shalom promised. There's Yerushalayim Shamala and Yerushalayim Shamata. The Rebbeinu Shalom says there cannot be. There's always a connection, a physical connection, a ruchnius connection, however you want to learn it, between the Yerushalayim downstairs and the Yerushalayim upstairs. So when there's always some connection, and the Rebbeinu Shalom tells us that when Yerushalayim was built Lamata, so then Rebbeinu Shalom went up and remained in the Yerushalayim Shamala. That was the Shechina. That Shechina, that some presence of the Shechina, that some of that Kedusha of the Shechina always remained, even though it's not, we don't, the Beis HaMikdash Lamaylo also was destroyed. When the Rebbeinu Shalom destroyed the Beis HaMikdash Lamata, he destroyed the Beis HaMikdash Lamalo also. But the Shechina remained in some sense of the word. So that Shechina, and that halacha, we see from this halacha, there's always a connection between the Shechina of the Mata and the Shechina of Lamala. So that Shechina somehow remains, because that Shechina remains, the Eretz Yisrael, Yerushalayim especially, always has a Kedusha, Machmas HaShechina. And that Kedusha, Machmas HaShechina, is a permanent Kedusha, cannot be what's like. But we're waiting for the Shechina, in the physical sense that we can see it, should be, when the Shechina was there, we saw all types of miracles. Those miracles we don't see. That we're waiting for the Binyan Beis HaMikdash, and that Binyan of Beis HaMikdash will signify the fact that the Shechina is coming back Lamata, and is also automatically up going to be Lamala, and we will be Zoichet to see the Binyan Beis HaMikdash and to be together in Artzeinu HaKadosh.